Iran is a large country. It is located in a very important place in the world. It sits between the East and the West, a natural bridge connecting great continents. For thousands of years, people and ideas have traveled across this land. The geography of Iran is very diverse. High, rugged mountains protect inner plateaus. Vast, dry deserts challenge travelers and armies. Fertile plains, coastline along the Caspian Sea, coastline along the Persian Gulf. This land shaped its people and the history they created. One major early group, the Elamites. The story of the first great Persian Empire begins with a man named Cyrus. Cyrus the Great was the leader of the Persians. Around 550 BC, he led a successful rebellion against the Medes, who were ruling over them at the time. He united the Medes and the Persians into one powerful force. Cyrus was a brilliant general and a wise ruler. He went on to conquer vast territories, including the great kingdom of Lydia, Babylonia. His empire, known as the Achaemenid Empire, became the largest the world had ever seen. It stretched from India in the east to the edges of Greece in the west. Cyrus was known for his kindness to the people he conquered, respecting their local customs and religions. After Cyrus, other great kings continued to expand and organize the empire. Darius the Great was one of the most important. He was a brilliant administrator. He divided the huge empire into provinces called satrapies. Each province was ruled by a governor or satrap who was loyal to the king. Darius also built a remarkable network of roads to connect his vast domain. The most famous of these was the Royal Road. It allowed messages and armies to travel quickly across the empire. He introduced a standardized system of coinage, weights and measures. This made trade easier and helped the economy grow stronger under his long and prosperous rule. The Achaemenid kings built magnificent cities to show their power and wealth. The most famous of these was Persepolis. This grand ceremonial capital was built on a massive stone terrace, filled with enormous palaces and beautiful carvings showing tribute from across the empire. The mighty Achaemenid Empire eventually came to an end. In 334 BC, a young and ambitious king from Macedonia named Alexander the Great invaded Persia. Alexander was a brilliant military commander. In a series of famous battles, his Greek armies defeated the much larger forces of the Persian king Darius III. Alexander conquered the entire empire. He burned the great city of Persepolis, a symbol of the end of an era. He wanted to blend Greek and Persian cultures together. He encouraged his soldiers to marry Persian women. He adopted some Persian customs. His conquest brought Greek language, Greek art. This began the Hellenistic Age. After Alexander died, his empire was divided among his generals. The part including Persia and Mesopotamia was taken by Seleucus, founder of the Seleucid Empire. From northeast Iran, a new power emerged, the Parthians. A tribe of Iranian horse warriors rose up against the Seleucids. They were skilled archers on horseback. The Parthians drove out the Seleucids and founded the Arsacid or Parthian Empire. They ruled for nearly 500 years. Parthia became a major rival of Rome. For centuries, Parthia and Rome fought over the Middle East, especially Armenia and Mesopotamia. They also controlled the Silk Road trade routes. Parthia grew wealthy by managing trade between China and the Mediterranean. Around 224 AD, the Sasanians overthrew the last Parthian king. The Sasanians claimed to be heirs of the Achaemenids and aimed to restore ancient Persian glory. They built monumental palaces and a highly centralized state, made Zoroastrianism the official religion, and presided over a golden age of Persian art, science, and architecture. In the early 7th century, a new force emerged from the Arabian Peninsula. United by the new religion of Islam, Arab armies began rapid expansion. The Sasanian Empire, weakened by wars with Byzantium, struggled to resist. Battles like Qadisiyah saw Arab victories. By the mid-7th century, the Sasanian Empire was conquered. Zoroastrianism slowly gave way to Islam. Arabic became the language of religion and government. The transition was slow and complex. Many people continued practicing Zoroastrianism for years. New rulers often allowed old religions in exchange for a special tax. Iranians kept their culture and brought traditions, ideas, and administrative skills to the Islamic world. Persian scholars and artists were influential, especially under the Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad. A Persian Renaissance emerged. Ferdowsi wrote the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings. Rumi, Hafez, and other great poets mixed Islamic mysticism and ancient Persian themes. Persian became a great literary language written in Arabic script but filled with Iranian spirit. This Persian Islamic civilization influenced Central Asia, India, and the Ottoman Empire. Regional Iranian rulers gained greater independence and revived Persian language and culture. This revival secured Persian identity and produced enduring art and architecture. The influence flowed far beyond Iran, shaping courts from Samarkand to Delhi. Persian miniatures and literary culture became a cornerstone of the region's civilization. Just as Persian culture was flourishing, a devastating new threat appeared from the east. In the early 13th century, the Mongol armies led by Genghis Khan swept across Asia. They invaded Iran with incredible speed and brutality. Cities that had been centers of learning and culture for centuries were completely destroyed. Libraries were burned, and millions of people were killed. The Mongol invasion was a terrible catastrophe for Iran. It brought an end to the Abbasid Caliphate when the Mongols sacked Baghdad in 1258. After the initial destruction, the Mongol rulers of Iran, known as the Ilkhanate, eventually settled down. They converted to Islam, adopted Persian culture, and became patrons of art and architecture. They encouraged science and art, building institutions like the observatory at Marageh and fostering manuscript painting. In the late 14th century, another wave came from Central Asia. Timur, also known as Tamerlane. His campaigns across Iran were marked by extreme violence and destruction. He built terrifying pyramids of skulls outside conquered cities as a warning. Despite the brutality, Timur and the Timurids became great patrons of art. Samarkand and Herat rose as magnificent cultural centers famed for blue-tiled architecture and exquisite miniatures. The period showed the resilience of Persian culture. Even conquerors were captivated and influenced by Persian art and learning. A new and powerful dynasty emerged in Iran at the beginning of the 16th century, the Safavids. Under a charismatic young leader named Ismail, they conquered all of Iran and established a new empire. They were the first native Iranian dynasty to rule the whole country in nearly 900 years. They created a strong, centralized state, and gave Iran a new sense of national identity that has lasted to this day. The most significant action of the Safavids was to make Twelver Shi'ism the official state religion. Before the Safavids, most Iranians were Sunni. Ismail forced the population to convert to Shi'ism. This set Iran apart from powerful Sunni neighbors, the Ottoman Empire in the west and the Uzbeks in the east. Religious identity became central to being Iranian. The Safavid Empire reached its peak under Shah Abbas the Great, who ruled from 1588 to 1629. He was a brilliant military leader, administrator and diplomat. He reformed the army and drove out foreign enemies. He moved the capital to Isfahan, transforming it with magnificent mosques, palaces, bridges, and the huge Naqsh-e-Jahan square. His reign was a golden age for the economy as trade along the Silk Road flourished. He encouraged art, miniature painting, ceramics, and especially carpet weaving, crafts that became famous worldwide. The Safavid era re-established Iran as a major political power and created a lasting cultural and religious foundation, blueprints for the modern Iranian state. Safavid art and architecture remain high points of Iranian culture. Their decision to make Shi'ism the state religion shaped Iran's identity for centuries. After the Safavid Empire weakened and fell in the early 18th century, Iran descended into chaos and civil war. Following a brief but brilliant period of rule under Nader Shah, his military conquests were brilliant, but the country soon fell back into disorder. At the end of the 18th century, the Qajars rose and united the country. The Qajars were a Turkic tribe. They made Tehran their capital. Their rule lasted until 1925. It was a time of great difficulty for Iran. The country was weak and pressured by powerful European empires, Russia from the north, Britain from the south and east. Russia seized lands in the Caucasus, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Qajar Shahs signed humiliating treaties ceding land and granting economic concessions to foreign powers. Yet modernization began. The telegraph arrived and the printing press spread. Dar ol Fonun opened in Tehran, teaching military science and modern subjects. A new portrait style mixing Persian and European techniques emerged. Iran grew more connected to the world. Foreign influence and weak rulers sparked discontent, leading to popular protests. The key event was the Constitutional Revolution, 1905-1911. Merchants, clergy, and intellectuals demanded a constitution and the majles. The movement had limited success and was suppressed, but it marked the start of modern Iranian politics. The turmoil of the 19th and early 20th centuries set the stage for a new order to emerge. The chaos following the Constitutional Revolution in World War I left Iran weak and divided. In 1921, a military officer, Reza Khan, seized power in a coup. 4 years later he deposed the last Qajar Shah and declared himself Shah of Iran. Reza Shah was strong and authoritarian. He launched top-down modernization to build a modern, secular nation-state. He ordered new roads and ports, built the Trans-Iranian Railway connecting the Caspian to the Persian Gulf, and established factories and schools. He enforced Western-style clothing for men and banned the chador in public, creating dramatic social change that angered many traditionalists. During World War II, Reza Shah tried to stay neutral, but Allied concerns about his ties to Germany led Britain and the Soviet Union to invade Iran in 1941 and force him into exile. They placed his son Mohammad Reza Pahlavi on the throne. Post-war politics opened space for new leaders, most notably Mohammad Mossadegh, who nationalized the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company and became prime minister in 1951. In 1953, the CIA and British intelligence organized a coup. Mossadegh was overthrown and the Shah regained full power. With oil wealth, the Shah launched the White Revolution, expanded industry and the military, but political repression grew and Savak crushed dissent. Many Iranians felt modernization ignored traditions and religious values. By the late 1970s, there was widespread dissatisfaction with the Shah's rule. Many different groups opposed him: intellectuals, students, merchants, and the religious clergy led by Ayatollah Khomeini. In 1978, massive protests and strikes erupted. By January 1979, the Shah was forced to leave the country. A few weeks later, Ayatollah Khomeini returned to a hero's welcome, and the revolution succeeded. A referendum abolished the monarchy and established the Islamic Republic, based on the principle of velayat-e-faqih, the guardianship of the jurist. The early years were difficult: internal opposition, global reaction, and a long war with Iraq from 1980 to 1988. Today, Iran remains an Islamic republic with a unique political system combining a supreme leader with elected institutions. It is a country of great complexity and contrasts. The nation faces economic challenges, in part due to international sanctions, but it has a young, well-educated population and a vibrant culture. From the tomb of Cyrus to the revolution of Khomeini, Iran's long story shows resilience and an enduring identity that continues to shape its present and future. Its rich heritage will undoubtedly shape its role on the world stage. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment below.